Good evening, everybody, again. Welcome to the Geek Pride cast on this Sunday evening. Technology has failed us yet once again, but here we go. We're going to try this for the second time. Yes, so tonight we have another set of guests. But first off, we will introduce our usuals, our regulars. So we've got Jonjo Cosgrove in person.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Mark Canty.
Hola.
He talks this time. We have Peter Ray Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
And our special guests tonight, we've got CL Raven, Lynx, and Kat.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, guys. So, first up, who are you? What do you do? Explain yourselves.
Well, we're CL Raven, horror writers, ghost hunters, radio hosts, pole dancers, burlesque dancers, Queens of Animal Army, and probably the people keeping Red Bull in money. So keeping Red Bull in money.
So, where do we start? Well, it is Halloween after. In fact, let's go for the animals first, because we saw you with some stick insects earlier, and you were talking about snakes. What menagerie of animals do you have?
It's currently grown over lockdown because all the animals we have have been rehomed from other people. So we currently have a 10-year-old rabbit, which is like super old. We've got 4 guinea pigs, 4 cats. Well, one's technically not ours. He lives with us, and his owner visits him every now and again. We've got a dog, and then 3 corn snakes. And then over lockdown, we took on 4 dagoos, 2 hamsters.
What's a dagu?
They're kind of like a cross between like a chinchilla and a rat and a squirrel and a gerbil. Yeah, these
Wow.
they kind of look like sort of smaller, less hairy chinchillas with tails, basically. We didn't know what they were, but someone needed a home for them, so we were like, oh, we'll take them. And then so when we went to pick them up, we were like, oh, that's what we're taking home. Okay.
Okay.
And then 3 gerbils as well, 3 baby gerbils. 3 corn snakes, and we did have an iguana, but he died on Tuesday.
Oh shit.
He was 24 and a half, so he did really well. He's older than some of our friends, and we liked him a lot better than some of our friends. Yeah.
So no big animals then? No dogs or anything?
Oh yeah, no, we have a dog. He's gone to bed. Sleeping. He's a lurcher, so he just sleeps all day.
All right, okay.
And we want pigs, but our mum keeps like putting a pet ban in place, and then of course, well, we've got like 23 pets, so it's not working. But apparently it's a definite no to pigs.
She's a soft touch then, is she, your mum?
Well, if it's like guinea pigs or hamsters, we can win her round easily, but she keeps saying no to more snakes.
Do they end up in her bed? Is that why? Do they sort of kind of...
No, they're actually the most well-behaved, well, except for Charlie, who's the one that escaped under the floorboards. But other than that, they're like the most well-behaved of the pets.
Right. Okay.
Oh yeah, we have the 30 stick insects as well. Yeah, the Indian stick insects.
So that's like 55 animals.
Well, stick insects don't count because like they live in one tank.
Fair point, yeah.
Themselves as twigs.
What do you feed the stick insects?
Brambles. So it's really cheap. Every week we go to our local park with a pair of secateurs in a bag, and we just help ourselves to all the brambles in the woods.
All right, okay, so they're vegetarians and they don't do sort of like, like lice or, I don't know, small things.
No. The snakes eat frozen mice, so that's not too bad.
One of my exes, well, one had pythons and stuff, and it was always escaping. But another one used to have a gecko called Amy Gecko, after the band Amy Echo, but I used to love when she fed it like live crickets and stuff. It was like a little thunderdome. So she'd sit there and there'd be this gecko and she'd throw them in, and then these things would be running around and it would be stalking them. And I was like, oh, is he gonna get it? He's gonna get it. Slightly morbid, but it was kind of cool in the same way.
We went for iguanas because they were vegetarians. We didn't want to have to feed them like live things, but like back then the vet was like, oh, they lived till they were about 10, and yeah, Kyla was 24, so that was a pretty bad estimate on the vet's part. But
24.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was really old, so he and the snakes they had their own bedroom, so we had a reptile room, so which we're redecorating at the moment because we couldn't do some. Well, we had 2 iguanas, so we built them. Well, we stole our mum's wardrobes and converted them into iguana tanks. So then she had to get new wardrobes. And so they had a wardrobe each. So they took up most of the bedroom because it's only a 9-foot square room. So these tanks are like 7 foot long and like 3 foot wide. So they were huge. So we couldn't decorate once the tanks were moved in there. And now 20 years later, it was our sister's old bedroom, so we moved them in there so she could never move back home.
Wow.
Did you get on with your sister?
Yeah, as long as we don't live together, yeah.
Did you tell her? Did you just let her walk back into the room and scream?
And then we were just like, oh, you can't come home now because we've moved the reptiles into your bedroom. And but she doesn't mind. She's like, she's got loads of animals too, so she doesn't mind. She knows she's not allowed back.
Wow. Well, that's how are you and the animals finding lockdown?
Oh, we love it. Yeah, we're not very socially anyway. And like when we were like 17, we had like really bad social phobia, so we didn't leave the house for 10 years. So we're practiced at this. So this is just like going back to how it was, and it's great. 'Cause no slow drivers. And our friends are like, oh, we miss you. And we're like, how are your pets? Can you see them? Can you like send us photos? So we do miss our friends' pets, but we quite enjoy lockdown anyway. So. We're quite honest. We do tell them that their pets will always get greeted first so that they know where they are in the hierarchy. they get used to us eventually. And yeah, no, so we're loving it 'cause we don't have to leave the house. So yeah, it's wonderful. Apart from walking the dog every day, but other than that, it was upsetting the first lockdown because our chip shop closed. So that was upsetting. That did make it a lot harder. But they've stayed open now. They've reopened as a takeaway, so we're all right. Yeah, so we're happy now. Like lockdown can continue forever.
So you're happy enough about the impending one on Thursday then?
Oh, it doesn't affect us because in Wales we're in the firebreak one.
Yes, different. It's just for England, isn't it?
Yeah, our lockdown ends on November 9th, so we'll be allowed out while you're like locked down until December. I think Boris said to our First Minister, so are you joining us? And he's like, no.
Hashtag no.
Yeah,
you crazy bastard.
They've done that.
They wouldn't Wales any money for furlough staff in the firebreak lockdown, and then so Boris was like, so you join us for the nationwide lockdown, and our First Minister was like, no.
Yeah, do one, buddy. It's the same in Northern Ireland as well. I'm just sort of mindful. Like I as much as lockdown's a pain in the ass, whatever sort of makes it get over quick, what makes things go quicker, because we've got Christmas and stuff coming up, and I wouldn't mind seeing my family and stuff. So it's just, I don't see them very often. They're all in Northern Ireland, and the concept of having my first ever, and I've been in Manchester 20 years now, my first ever Christmas in Manchester is going to be very daunting. So I always go home, and my mother would be so unimpressed if I can't get back to Northern Ireland.
Manchester would be an independent nation by Christmas.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. There's rebellion a brewing already and stuff, and I'm just like, oh. And the problem is, a lot of the time is because you go into Stockport's down the road, and it's just like the pubs are hammered, and everybody's just sort of in each other's faces and stuff. And it's like, you wonder why there's an issue. It's just like,
I know. It's just the same here. And they're like, oh, why can't everything reopen? It's like, it's because drunk people can't social distance.
Yeah, that's
Drunk
true.
people can barely like walk around chairs. They can't keep out of each other's way.
It's
Yeah,
just-
sober people can barely social distance. It seems half the time. I actually had panic attacks going back a couple of months back, going into town, because you'd be walking around and people would just like be brushing into you.
I
And
know.
you're just like, hello, excuse me, pandemic.
I had it.
In that, because of being goths as well, and because it's cold now, so we have our hoods up and we have like skull masks, and we've chosen like really creepy masks, and we've got one that has a skeleton flipping the bird with keep your distance on, so people actually cross the road when we walk past, or they try and stay out of our way. So I mean, we're only like 5'1", and like we don't even weigh 7 stone.
I'm not 5'1" anymore. I shrunk.
Well, yeah, but I'm 5'1" and a bit,
Yeah.
and you're just under 5'1". So we're not physically threatening in any way, but they see us and they're like, oh dear. And then,
They
like,
don't see the spikes that are on the toes and heels of our boots. Yeah.
That's mad. My dog's heavier than you.
Our sister's dog is too.
What she got? What sort of dog has she got?
She's got a Rottie Cross Lab.
Ah, right, brilliant. I've got a Tibetan Mastiff who gets called a fluffy Rottweiler sometimes. But yeah, I tried to use him as like a break when I went into Manchester. I was like, I've got a big, massive bear dog. Nobody's going to mess with me. And it's just like, oh my god, beautiful, cute bear dog. Can we hug him? I was like, no, it's not meant to work like that.
Yeah, we're like
Don't
that.
think of it as social distancing. Think of it as melee range.
Yeah, I started turning around to people, and as much as I hate doing this because he's not like, I was like, oh yeah, you got to watch guard dog. He is a guard dog, but he, out in public he's fine. But it's like he won't be. I'm not sure if you should come near him and stuff, trying to warn people off that he's this rat beast that might rip their throats out if they come near me and stuff. And I was like, but yeah. Oh, it's gone all red on me. The technology today.
He's got a lurcher, and when it's cold, he goes out in his little coat, so he just doesn't look threatening.
Well, it's a spider web coat, and he's got a tartan collar, so he's all like punk and gothed up. But yeah, he just doesn't look threatening.
Get some studs on it.
I tell you what, man.
Yeah,
Some of the
like a
smaller,
with spikes all over it.
yeah,
So
some of the
he looks like he's snarling at people, like with big teeth and spiky lips and stuff.
Yeah.
some of the smaller dogs are absolutely fearless, and they're just like the amount of times I walk my dog down the road, down the canal, and the big dogs and stuff and the medium dogs are the ones that are scared of him and stuff and will back off, but the small dogs are literally going for him, like absolutely just going hell for leather to sort of bite him and things like that. They don't
Yeah, but
care.
both could just
It's
sit
like
on
dog
them.
people, we're vicious.
It's the size of the dog. It's the size of the
so
fighting.
small.
But then saying that, my dog would be the kind of one that would go for yours, Matt, because he's like about 6 inches tall. He's like nothing with him. He would be the one that would literally go for him, and then you'd literally see him, he'd be like, oh shit, and run away.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because he just like the small dogs. He just sort of he doesn't really have any interest in them whatsoever, and he just sort of looks at them like, "What are you doing?"
Because Bandit's a lurcher, he loves small dogs. He thinks they're prey, so he chases them and then rows them, and then the owners shout at us. But I'm like, they're prey to him. They all look like rabbits. So yeah, so he loved your dog.
Yeah, what's that like?
That explains your dog's diet then. Yeah, it goes for rabbits, yes.
He hates little dogs, and he's particularly breedist. He hates curly dogs.
Does it? Here's a question for you, right? Because I'm sad, and I have a TikTok. It was originally for me, but it's just turned into one for my dog now, and it's mad because it's got like 17,000 followers or something stupid like that just for the dog. But my dog hates collies, absolutely hates them, and every person I've bumped into when I've walked down the canal where I am, they're like, yeah, my dogs don't like collies either, and I'm just wondering, is it a thing that collies just have that vibe about them that dogs
Yeah,
hate?
they do. They're like very intense.
Yeah.
Because I've got a best friend who's a collie, but she's not like other collies. But he hates other collies. And our next door neighbour got a collie pup during lockdown, and so we have to, like, every time we see him, we have to say to Bandit, "No, that's Ziggy, that's your next door neighbour. Stop barking at your neighbour. You know, we like them." But yeah, no, he doesn't like collies except for his best friend. But yeah, she's a totally different collie to normal. She's not like intense, but yeah, collies tend to be like quite wired, don't they?
Yeah, it's just like, I thought it was just Boz being an asshole, but you know, it just seems that generally collies tend to be not like. But the thing is, like, because my dog's massive, and when he goes mental, they look at me like it's my dog's fault, and I'm just like, it's just, he doesn't like collies, I'm afraid, and you know.
No, it's definitely a collie thing. Yeah,
and it's just, I feel bad because I like collies, but my neighbour's dogs Yeah,
Meg is Bandit's collie friend, and even she's not that keen on collies.
So yeah, I'm glad that, because I was just like, it must be, you know, because every time I see a collie now, I'm just like, he doesn't like collies. And there's another breed, it's like, it's kind of, I'm not sure, I think it's called a Barnet or something, but it's basically, it looks like a Bichon Frise, but it's massive, it's big, and it's like, it's kind of, you know, fluffy, but it's I don't know what it is. But
is it a Samoyed?
I don't know what's it called. I'll have to look that up. Somebody mentioned that one of the live streams I did and stuff. But whatever it is, he doesn't like that dog either. So it's like these two dogs I have to keep an eye out for. So it's like collies. I'm like, yeah. So 90% of the time, if there's a collie there, he's going to go ballistic. So I have to hold him up. Sometimes he's fine, but this other dog, there's been 2 encounters with black versions of this dog, and he's gone ballistic at them as well. So I'm just like, right, okay, so yes, these are the 2 dogs you do not like, so we'll keep you away from them.
Remind me later, Matt. I'll check in with the wife and see what she says. So my wife's a vet nurse, so she consults.
It's just
with various people, as you can imagine.
Never lurches over his head.
Yeah. All right. Well, actually, we've got Jakatron on YouTube's asked a few questions. And cheers for the follow as well, dude. Jake says, "What's your that's the opinion lockdown. We've done that already. What country do you want to visit most after the virus is over? Do you do any traveling?"
Oh yeah, we used to. Yeah, before lockdown we did. So just letting the cat in. We were meant. We were meant to be in Sweden this year. We went to Sweden last year because we were doing a signing in Sweden's oldest bookshop. So we had a friend who lived in that town, so she sorted it for us. So we went to Sweden, and that was lovely. And then we've done Paris, we've done Venice, we've done Las Vegas and San Francisco. We went to Alcatraz.
Did you go to Comic-Con? Have you done Comic-Con?
No, we haven't.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we met at HorrorCon though about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, Sheffield one, is that where we met?
Yeah, that's right.
I know it must have been that one that we got banned from. We were hoping to go to Japan this year for our
that'd be
friend's
awesome.
birthday. So Japan is, every year we're like, we're going to go to Rome or Pompeii, and then it didn't happen. And luckily it didn't happen this year, otherwise we would have been quarantined in Italy. On our list, but we do want to go to Transylvania as well. We've got like a whole list of all the places we want to go, and Prague, because it's got that Sedlec Ossuary, the Church of Bones.
Oh wow!
And you've got catacombs. We basically plan all of our holidays around creepy places that we want to go.
One of the girls who does some articles and stuff for us and some book reviews, she's Romanian, and so she did actually some, because I'm always banging on about Transylvania and things with her, and she did an article about Vlad Tepes and how in Romania he's like a folk hero. And
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that's actually a good segue, because that moves on to the whole reason why you're probably here, not to talk about your animals or my dog, but yeah, the books. So you're both horror co-horror authors. So is there any sort of within that sort of genre? Is there any sort of angles you go, or do you do pretty much everything from ghosts to psychological?
We particularly love paranormal, although our last few releases have actually been historical horror based on real life events of Edinburgh in the 17th and 18th centuries. So we did the plague. So yeah, we did the plague in Edinburgh, which set us up well because we made our own plague masks. So we're fine for lockdown. So we did one based around the plague of 1645, and then the witch trials of 1649. And we actually, Edinburgh University has actually put the court records of the witch trials online for free, so
Awesome.
we were able to access all the court records. So then we did the body snatchers, and we got a private viewing of William Burke's skeleton, which was very exciting. We've been every time we went to Edinburgh, we were tracking him down, and we found him piece by piece. So this one shop on Victoria Street has a card case made out of his skin. So that was the first piece we found. And then we went to the Surgeons Hall museum on another visit, and we found a notebook made out of his skin. And we love the Surgeons Hall Museum is a surgical and anatomy museum, and we loved it. And then after an hour, our friends were like, "Oh, we've got bored, so we're going in the cafe." And we're like, "Yeah, we won't be long." And then 3 hours later, they were messaging us again, going, "Where are you?" And we were like, "We're by the kidneys." And we were like, our friend was on dialysis at the time, so we took photos of the kidneys, and we were like, "Just pick one, we'll bring one home for you."
Okay.
And they're wonderful friends.
So wait a minute, who is this guy? Who's this guy whose parts you were hunting down?
William Burke. Burke and Hare were the famous so-called body snatchers, but they weren't actually body snatchers. They were just murderers.
Oh, right,
they were too lazy to do it again. But
were they the ones who were selling bodies to sort of medical practitioners? Yeah, because there was a whole thing about sort of people who were digging up graves and things so they could sell the bodies for medical experiments and stuff.
Yeah, it was good money. It was like 400 quid the body in today's money, and we're like, oh, no one's watching the cemeteries at the moment. That would pay for that too. That'd be brilliant. So yeah, generally the body snatchers would dig up the bodies because there was 5 medical schools in Edinburgh, and they were only allowed to dissect the bodies of murderers who were hanged, but there was only 15 murderers hanged a year, so that wasn't enough for the body snatchers. And it used to be the surgeons and the students who would dig up the bodies, but then the criminal gangs moved in and they made good money from it. But Burke and Hare ran a lodging house, so they just killed their lodgers, and if they owed them rent. If the lodgers owed them rent, they would kill them and get the rent money from the doctor instead, because they would deliver fresh victims, so they got a better price. And it was Dr. Knox that they delivered them to. So, and then eventually someone cottoned on to the fact that they were actually killing people and selling their bodies. We had 3 guinea pigs that we named Burke, Hare and Dr. Knox as well. Massive fans.
Wow.
And then, so for then one of our trips to Edinburgh, we messaged the university, because the university's open, the skeleton goes on public viewing every last Saturday of the month in Edinburgh University. And we were like, and we messaged and we were like, we were in Falkirk that day, so can we come see him on a different day? So they opened it up on the Monday then for us. So we and that was our last day in Edinburgh. So we just took all our suitcases into the university, dumped them in the corner, and went to look at the skeleton. And so that was really cool. And then one of our, a woman that we knew, we went to stay. We tend to meet people online, and then we'll go and stay with them in different countries. Hence in Sweden, we've known our friend for a few years online, and he said, "Do you want to come to Sweden? You can stay with me." We're like, "Yeah, okay." And then we met this guy who showed up at the bookshop and was like, "Oh, I read about you in the paper," we were in the paper, and he said, "I read about you in the paper. There's this castle. Do you want to come and see it?" And we were like, "Okay." So he drove us to the castle, and it turned out he owned it, because we were like, "He's really knowledgeable. How's he got a key to this place?" And we were like, "Oh, he's obviously a tour guide." And yeah, it turned out he owned the castle. So that was a bit random. How we ever meet?
I don't know. New episode.
I'd love to own a castle.
So we saw Burke's skeleton, and then we went on a day trip to all the graveyards where the body snatchers were. Yeah, again, staying with a woman we met on Facebook, and we took around all these these graveyards and we went ghost hunting with her as well. So we stayed with a friend in Spain. We met once when she came over, but we known her on Facebook, so then went to stay with her in Spain. But yeah, it is a wonder how like you haven't been murdered yet. Yeah, because most people, if they get into a strange man's car, would be murdered. No, we get a tour of his private castle.
Have you ever done any of the ghost walks in York?
Yes.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah,
You wouldn't happen to, because so basically, there's a guy called Jamie McKellar who does. He's a filmmaker. He's done a couple of releases. One called Chesterburg, which is about people, a town in the UK that has murder is legal, and it's like a gore fest type film and stuff. And he's doing one now called High Stakes Rollers, which is basically about a roller derby team who kill vampires. And he does a thing called Dorian Deathly Tours in York, and they're quite big at the minute because of the lockdown. And he does like live shows where he walks around York and he does the ghost tours and stuff. And he's really good. You should really check him out. But yeah, it's just like, you know, all the ghost tour stuff around York, and York's a beautiful place as it is, and it's got loads of cool stuff.
We went there for like a weekend break a few years ago to go ghost hunting around York, and it was back when they had that like witch's shop, which isn't there anymore, and where they used to do like seances, but that's not there anymore. And then we went to this palace in Leeds, which was haunted, but they wouldn't let us film this. So we were doing our ghost hunting show at the time, and they wouldn't let us film in Temple Newton, wasn't it? Yeah. So in the end, we made an entire episode of interviewing the farm animals about the ghosts. they weren't very forthcoming.
Oh,
and the only ones that would speak to us were the chickens. They had like tons of stories to tell, but sheep, like we'd be like to the sheep, "You seen any ghosts?" And they just like move away. But we did that round Bodmin. We hired Bodmin jail, and it was just like 5 of us. But
no, we've gone all red again. Got it.
The OBS.
Ladies, can you just repeat what you were just saying there? My OBS just kind of went and died on me. So
yeah, we it was like, shut these idiots up.
Yeah. You literally just started, so
we'd interviewed these farm animals about the ghosts of Temple Newton, and then but they all avoided the question except the chickens, who were quite knowledgeable about the ghosts, and we suspect they're now in like witness protection. But a few years ago, we'd gone to Bodmin Jail, and we drove around the moors, and every time we saw sheep, and there was a lot of sheep, we'd wind down the window and go, "Have you heard about the beast of Bodmin?" And the sheep would get up and run away. And so we would just, again, drive a bit further, roll down the window and yell, "The beast is coming!" And the sheep would again run. We're easily amused. And then, and despite that, like, we contacted the guy in charge of Bodmin Jail and said, "We want to hire it for ghost hunting." And he said, "Yes, I've watched your videos." And we were like, "Oh no." And he was like, "You can have the jail, but just like don't molest the mannequins." And we were like, "Oh, but that's like our favourite part of ghost hunting, especially if there's mannequins there." So that was good. There was just 5 of us there, and we secretly wanted to sleep in the jail, so we deliberately didn't book anywhere to stay, and we didn't tell our friends this. And then as we got to the jail, our friends were like, "So where were we sleeping tonight?"
You're looking at it.
The jail. And they were like, "Oh, they let us sleep." And we were like, "Well, we're hoping they will." And they were like, "What if they say no?" We were like, "Gonna have to sleep in the cars then." But they did actually let us sleep in the jail. So all of like 2 hours, but still. So it did work out in the end. Our friends weren't like overly amused with us, but we were just, and then like we napped on the drive home because it's like 5 hours. We were tired, so then we'd stop at services and nap for like 10 minutes. And then we found out like a few years after that they were actually doing a demonstration using the working execution pit. So they were going to hang a dummy. So we messaged one of our mates and we were like, "They're doing a live like hanging of this dummy in Bodmin. Do you want he makes models, so like we were the only, like we were like, he, you know, he can take time off like us, because like us he doesn't have like a proper job. And we're like, should we go? So we picked up our mate and we drove all the way down to Cornwall, and it took them all of 30 seconds to hang the dummy. So that was worth
But they
it.
let us go in the pit and under the so we could see the pit under the dummy as well. But a film crew were there interviewing the owner of the jail, and my phone went off and ruined their interview. And you can see, because we watched the interview and they desperately tried to cut it before Alice Cooper blasts in, but you just hear the opening notes to Poison right at the end.
So have you ever seen any ghosts in any ghost hunting?
I have, although I still to this day I'm like, maybe I did. Maybe I was hyped on Red Bull and the fact that I was wearing glasses, but it was in Gloucestershire, Woodchester Mansion, and we went there. It was in the day, and was it like sheep goat? There was like weird sheep goats there. Yeah, and we were chatting to them, and then we set the camera up, and I saw someone in the window above the door, and I was like, look, it's a ghost in the window. And then, not thinking it was a ghost, because it's just, a person. And then when we got inside, because the window was like literally just above the front door, and we got inside and we looked up and there's no floors. The floors are like 15 foot back from the window. And I was like, oh, well, I couldn't have seen anyone because there's no way she could be standing at the window. And then just sort of forgot about it. And I was like, I wasn't wearing my glasses, so I probably didn't see someone. And then years later, a paranormal team started doing like film and ghost hunt nights. So we went there, and then they were telling us about the ghosts. And then one of them was like, our most famous ghost, we call her Elizabeth. She's always seen in that window there. And he pointed to the window that I'd seen someone in. And I was like, I saw her. And they were like, we've never actually met anyone who's seen her. And I was like, I thought I was like hallucinating. But one of our now best friends was actually one of the paranormal team. And the first time we met him, he hated the cellar of Woodchester. And we were like, oh, we love the cellar. We'll go, because he wasn't there the first time, but he was there the second. We're like, we love the cellar. Look, come down with us. It'll be fine. So we took him down to the cellar and took him to the farthest room, and then we ran out and locked the door. I don't know why we.
You're horrible people.
We've been friends for like.
You're
4
friends because you like his animals. You don't like him. That's what it was.
He does have a gorgeous dog called Freak that he sends us photos of, like every now and again. And when he tells Freak we're coming, he gets so excited and he goes and sits in the window and waits for us. It's Dave. It is. He's usually at all of the comms with us. He's like 6 foot, bald, like us, covered in tattoos and piercings. He's got ginger beard, and he makes like props for films. So he's going to make like a prop for one of our films if it ever gets made, if COVID buggers off and we can actually do it.
Because you've also done a fair bit of filming as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we worked on an independent horror film called Clown Face, which is now like doing quite well, I think. It's finally out. It was like 3 years ago. Yeah, and I think it's been doing quite well in like the festivals. The music guy has been winning like loads of awards for it. And it was our first time of being involved. And we actually only got involved in it because our mate Mark was like, doing this film and we've got a goth character and she's like your size, so can we have your clothes? And we're like, okay. And then, so we started out as just being like runners and providing the wardrobe for. We ended up running about 7 departments in the end. We worked our way up to second AC, like by the end of it. But was it the first day actually we were doing second AC because their AC Suki couldn't get there till like lunchtime. So so like the first scene we would just like go in there to take photos and stuff. And we handed the clapperboard and. Right, I don't know what to do. We ended up on sound, and also because they wanted creepy tunnels to film in, and we were like, we spent a night ghost hunting in Drakelow tunnels in Kidderminster. Give them a ring. So they did. So we actually did a week of filming then in Drakelow tunnels, and I think we only got 2 like credits on IMDb. We asked for like the 7, but only got 2. Yeah. And then, and then we were filming School Hall Slaughter. Our mate Hugh wrote a short horror film about
psycho twin killers in a high school. And so we're the creepy twins. It's like not like we're typecast or anything. And we were like, and we're like 37. We can't pass the 60. And he's like, you'll be fine, because like luckily we haven't got grey hair or wrinkles yet. And well, no, I got the frown line. But so then we're like, but then we saw ourselves like to wear like school uniform, and then with the rest of the cast who were like all up like here above us, like, oh yeah, no, past the 60.
Totally past the 60.
School also is just basically therapy for you, isn't it?
It was wonderful, yeah. And we do like the fight scenes, and I did actually get like backhanded in one of them, and I broke my finger in another scene because I had to like slam this sledgehammer into a wall, and on the first take of the filming, because I was round the corner, I broke my finger doing it, because I actually slammed my finger into the wall.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, this really hurts. And then we had to do like several takes. And then afterwards, the director was like, are you all right? I was like, I broke my finger on the first take. And then it didn't even make it into the film. They cut that entire scene. And I now the shape of the finger. So it's going to be... but he's turning it into a feature film, so he's like, well, put that scene back in. And I was like, I'm not doing the sledgehammer bit, then you can do that, but I've got to put my finger from that.
We've got a message from on YouTube. Mr. Kill Me says, could you ask CL Raven what's their favourite horror movie?
Hey, Gav! Oh, I don't know. Silent Hill, probably.
Oh, Sean Bean. Awesome.
Because, we've got also the siren of Silent Hill as a text notification, so it's really fun in the post office when like the old people start looking around going, can you hear an air raid siren? And we're like, no, not at all, can't hear that. But so do love Train to Busan as well. Yeah, that's really good. And Tucker versus Evil.
Not sure, I've seen that.
That is,
oh yes,
it's a horror comedy, absolutely brilliant. But
Alan Tudyk's in it. He's fantastic.
We are having a do the other day. And we've been watching a lot of like Asian horror recently. Yeah, our mate made the mistake of signing into his Netflix account when he was here. Now our Netflix account, and then like we had the Gordon message him going, we got locked out, what's your password? And we were like tweeting about being locked out of his account, because like he had the nerve to use it at the same time we wanted to use it, and we were like, this is not fair. And we were tweeting about it going, when the Netflix account you're hijacking is like being used by too many people. So one of our other Twitter friends messaged us going, I've set you up a Netflix account on mine. Here's your login details. Like, this is amazing. You've got like 2 Netflix accounts now.
But then saying about horror films, obviously with Halloween that's just gone on, what have you been watching over the last few days? What's been your go-to?
Well, last night it was... Oh, hang on. It was The Six Finger. There was a Korean horror. And there was a Polish horror before that. Yeah, Nobody Sleeps in the Woods. That was pretty good. Yeah. Vampires versus the Bronx. That was really good. And then we watched The Bridge Curse. That was Thailand horror. Yeah, I think so. The Third Eye, which is Indonesian horror. That's really good. That's really good as well.
Oh,
that is the sequel.
That's the only one I've heard of out of all them films.
And we just go through and go, oh, that looks interesting. And our mum's like, is it another one with subtitles? Train of the Dead was weird. Oh, yeah, Bridge Curse. Session of Hannah Grace, that was good. Aurora, that was...
I've heard none
Are
of
you
these.
on the Netflix account now looking through it? Yeah, this is what we've been watching, yeah.
I watched Insidious last night, and
I love that.
You know what? I thought it was going to be scarier than it was. It's like there's some parts in it which, you know, are pretty scary, but in general, it sort of starts off really sort of like meh, and then it's like, oh, something super scary is going to happen, and then it sort of dies down a bit, and then at the end, it's like, all right, okay, well, I slightly let down, but I wasn't. Yeah.
It's like suspense though, and mood.
We like the Conjuring films, but the Conjuring 2 really annoys us because
Lorraine and Ed Rowan had nothing to do with the Enfield poltergeist. Absolutely nothing to do with it. And then
that was Harry Price, and then it's like we were sat there in this, like we went with our mate Neen, and we were sat there going, well, this is factually incorrect. And then she was sat there going, she's a scenic artist on film, and she sat there going, the like paintwork on the doors are terrible.
And she sat in the walls, she was like, that's shocking. She was like, I could do a better job with my eyes closed. And we were like, it wasn't the Warrens involved in this, it was Harry Price.
So the people like moaning throughout the entire film.
The Enfield one, I remember there was a game back in the days, like we're talking like when early 90s and stuff. There was a game called Ghost Stories or something. It was like back in old school, like CD-ROMs and stuff, and you went around this haunted mansion and you looked for clues and stuff like that. And and it had the sort of tapes from the Enfield poltergeist in there, and it basically talked you through what happened, and it had all the him talking to the what's your name, Mars, and then stuff like this, and it's just like, and that was freaky, as a kid, and you listen to that, you're like, holy shit, this is pretty freaky.
I like the fact you say CD-ROMs are old school, when like some of us grew up with floppy disks and BBC computers.
Oh, I'm 39, so I had 14K modems, floppy disks, the whole lot and stuff. It's just that at the time was sort of CD-ROMs are still technically old school.
I remember cassettes.
2400.
We still have cassettes. We still have VHSs. Oh yeah, what was that poltergeist thing? That was a Harry Price one, the one where we got like told off for trespassing.
I get the impression you get told off for trespassing.
A guy like came at us with a mallet once.
Oh, come on, you must have filmed that. Come on.
No, annoyingly we didn't. We got escorted off the premises of Denby Asylum, and the guy, our mistake of just parking at our mum's bright orange Mini at the gates and just walking in. And then we do a bit of urbexing as well, and we'd hear the...
Oh, no, don't do it, no. Oh, OBS, how I hate thee sometimes. Oh. Sorry, ladies, it just cut out there for a minute. You were talking about getting kicked out of some building.
Manor,
yeah.
Denby Asylum it was.
Yeah.
We parked our mum's orange Mini convertible outside the gates and just walked in.
Middle of the afternoon.
And the guy was like, what are you doing here? And we were like, taking photos. And he said, can you leave? And we were like, can we just take some photos?
He's like, I don't mind, but the guy with the dog is going to be here soon.
But one of those photos is the front cover of our book, which was based there, so that was all right. And then we got caught trespassing Talgaff Asylum. That was quite embarrassing, actually, because it's known as one of the toughest ones to get into because the locals patrol. And so we heard this van, so we ran and hid behind this bush. And we were like, the guy's not going. And then we realised that it was not a very thick bush, and he can blatantly see us hiding behind it. And we were like, it's really awkward now. And so we just sort of skulked out. And he was like, what are you doing? And we were like, researching.
We were like, some of our family were here. We just wanted to see what it was like. It's like total.
And he just like looked at us. And we were just like trying not to look even shiftier than we were. We drove off. And then we managed to, like, all the doors and windows are smeared with anti-vandal paint. But luckily we're skinny, so we managed to climb it, squeeze in through these windows. And we got into the main building, which is really hard to get into. And then we were like,
again, we had to, like, there was like this drainage channel under a fence that we managed to like wiggle through.
Bowed under. And then we got upstairs of the main building and all the floors had fallen through. And we were like, this is how they keep people out. This place is really dangerous. And then we went to Mountain Ash Hospital and our friend fell through the floor. So that was really funny. And then we went to Red Dress Manor at the top of Mid Wales. BBC, like, Wales Online had done a piece about it, so of course we had to go there because the couple who owned it died and just everything got left there. So we went and we found an open window about 5 foot up. So we just like took a run up and jumped and climbed in. And then, so like all of this stuff, like the 2 Morris Marinas are still in the garage. And there was like school exercise books, perfume bottles. Like it's been trashed and down.
Bank statements.
Yeah, but like all these bank statements and that's still there. The kitchen's still got all this stuff in. So it was really cool. And so we explored the house and then we got back to our car and there was notes on our car going like, I know where you've been. And we were like, okay, a bit creepy, but so, and then we got in the car and this man like knocked on our window with a mallet and we were like, hello. And he's like, I know where you've been. And we were like, well, we're done now. We're just going to leave.
And he's like, I see you again. I'm phoning the police.
And we were like, well, we've been in, we've got our footage. We don't need to come back. So we just drove off then.
But again, we were in our mum's Mini and it's like,
was his name Timmy?
I think he thought like he'd been threatening. It's like, but you've got a mallet. I've got a 1.6 Mini Cooper convertible. Like, I think I'll win.
Physics. There you go.
I do like how it sounds like all your scenarios feel like they are just ripped out of a horror film. Literally, you're in the car, all of a sudden someone's knocking. It's like, they've got a mallet. I thought it was a hammer.
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys are literally the start of a horror film, aren't you?
every horror cliche, and that's a good thing. That is so fun. I like that. You know, literally.
Yeah.
I like how the fact like someone taps on your window with a mallet and you wind it down to talk to them. I'd be winding up, locking the door, starting the engine, and going like 0 to 150 seconds.
Be polite, but I would never.
We went with our friend Laura and then our friend Jack and his boyfriend James. But it's like Jack and James are in a different car. He didn't target them. He targeted the women.
And the worst thing was like, I was changing in the back seat because I'd got really hot, so I was like half undressed as ours. This is really awkward. But yeah, we had another bouncing encounter in Mountain Ash Hospital because we were walking around and this guy like passed the window,
Yeah.
and in my logic to not be seen, I just turned around, just turned my back on him, and my brain was like, "What are you doing?" But like, like how kids like hide by closing their eyes. That's basically what I did. I just turned around and hoped he wouldn't see me.
That's rich.
But we made it onto the roof of that one.
Wow.
It's been burnt down.
So is there any places in the UK or the world that you fancy getting kicked out of anytime soon?
Or that you haven't been?
Yeah.
Proveglia in Italy.
Plague Island.
Plague Island. It's off the coast of Venice. We went to an insane asylum that was off the coast of Venice as a birthday treat, but Proveglia was Plague Island, where they sent the plague victims to die, and they're just kind of buried there. And it's meant to be really haunted, but you're not allowed to go there. So we had this great idea that one day we would buy a canal barge, paint it black. It'd be our now a boat of terror, and we would just like sail the canal barge over to Proveglia. More sensible friends have told us it can't be done. We just think they lack imagination. But that is like the one place.
The Italian Navy may beg to differ.
We haven't the paddle board.
So we could just paddleboard now.
Yeah.
So. We like to learn skills that will help us.
We're like learning Italian on Duolingo, so we're hoping that we'll get fluent enough to be able to persuade someone with a boat.
At least if you learn a bit of Italian, you can talk your way out of prison. Then when you do get arrested.
Just bring a roll 20. Just bring
And we make sure to research trespass laws before we go to different countries, just in case.
Just bring a D20 with you and roll high, and then go. I got a nat 20 here.
Ones.
We always crit fail. Yeah.
Not on like if it's something like really stupid, we'll get a 20. But if it's like really like important in battle, then I got turned into a centaur once.
I lost both hands in one campaign.
Sounds very familiar. Sounds very familiar.
We need to introduce him to your brother.
Yeah, my brother crit. Well, no, he didn't crit fail. We have a current campaign going on, and one of the players. We were in a festival. Well, he's in the festival, and my brother was like, "So, can you tell me, are these potions fake or not before I buy them?" So the wizard turns up. I'm a fucking wizard. I know all this shit. And he rolled a nat 1, and I went, "Yeah, they're all fake." And this guy's trying to scam you. So my brother, being all brash and stuff, is like, "Right, okay," and started like basically having a go and threatening the vendor, who turned him into a sheep. So yeah, it was quite amusing.
As when lockdown did ease, although we're back in it now, we did actually join the circus. So we've now learned circus skills to help us get into buildings better, because we can now like do trapeze and shit. So
be able to climb ropes.
Yeah, and we can climb ropes now, and like silks is like terrible, but we'll ignore that. We can climb ropes and we can do trapeze now. And when it reopens, we'll be learning flying trapeze. So we'll be able to rig something up and like just fly into buildings now, or escape in dramatic style. At least you can like sling material over like
telephone wires
and just trapeze our way down, so we should be okay now.
I'd love to live in your head. So that you can see,
there'll be future long stories which involve impacts from a certain height and visits to hospital at this rate.
Mr.
I mean, I broke my coccyx falling off the pose, so.
Wow. Well, to be honest,
I've broken a lot of bones and torn.
Stupid accidents, so like all the dangerous stuff we do, and like we don't get hurt.
Yeah, and all the urbex and that, and don't get hurt. And then about 10 years ago, I did one lunge and ripped the cartilage off my knee and had to have 3 operations to put it right again. And then a couple of years ago, I fell off the gymnastics floor, tore my ligaments, and now quite possibly need surgery to reconnect the severed ligaments.
Awesome.
But all this urbexing and ghost hunting, we don't get hurt doing that. Circus and that, we're fine.
It's true. I mean, like the most injuries happen at the home. I've broken my toe twice at home.
Was it the same toe?
No, completely different toes. And
was Lego involved?
No, it was just children's toys involved.
Oh, right, children's toys.
And I've done my back in with one of my kids as well. And just like, children are dangerous.
I've broken one finger twice in the same place doing DIY.
Wow.
It's my little finger. I keep smashing it with hammers. It's the same place, and it's really annoying.
Right. My wife, Curly, got a chainsaw, a petrol-powered chainsaw, once. Like, just doing some work down at the field. And she went off quite happily one time and said, "Listen, when you go to cut the branch, cut through it, give me a call, see what you're going to do, then give me a call after you cut the tree down about 5 minutes later." Okay, no problem. Wife returned home with a broken finger.
How did she do that?
Completely fine and using the chainsaw. It was when she lifted some heavy stone for dry stone walling and managed to drop one of the stones onto her thumb.
Ow! Ow!
And she goes away with a chainsaw and comes back with a broken finger.
Oh well, at least it's not minus a finger.
I honestly did not think that was going to be the end of that story.
But our uncle nearly took my hip out with a chainsaw.
Yeah, he's quite dangerous.
He was using it and he turned to talk to me and didn't switch it off, and it took the pocket off my coat.
But one of our best stories is when we set our car on fire.
Not deliberately. We're accidental arsonists.
We've got these old Renault 4s. They were our first cars, and they're parked at the bottom of the driveway because they don't work anymore. Not because it set on fire; it worked after that. But
they worked after being on fire.
Yeah, one of the cars needed
head
gasket done, and the guy was like, Renault 4s was like wet liners in the engine, so it's like really hard to do, and they were like, and the car's like, basically held together by tape, so it's not worth it. And we were like, we've got a Haynes manual. We'll just do it. So we took the car apart, we stripped the engine down, following the Haynes manual.
We didn't have smartphones then.
Yeah, so this is like years and years ago. And then
It was like 12 years ago, I think, because our sister was in the hospital giving birth to Brooke.
yeah, so we stripped the engine, took it down, got the cylinder head skin, put a new gasket on. And then when I was putting the exhaust manifolds on, I dropped them on my finger and broke a finger. And then it was all going well. And then we sprayed some carb cleaner and it all went back perfectly fine. And then we forgot to reattach the fuel pipe to the carburetor. So we'd sprayed all this carb cleaner and then we started the engine. And the starter motor was a bit dodgy and sparked a bit. And then vroom, so then the car caught fire and like we went running off and our mum was like, "Where are you going?" And we were like, "Get the camera." Like, get the smartphone days. And she was like, "Never get the camera, get the fire extinguisher," and
Which was in the boot.
and we were just like, "Oh, but we need a photo of this." But
Because our cars have scrapbooks of all the places like they've broken down. And so we got the fire extinguisher. And do you know the episode of Fawlty Towers when he's reading it? Trying to
Yes.
figure out how to use it?
Yes.
Well, that was us. And
having never needed a fire extinguisher.
so we were like
before.
reading how to use it, and then it said point at base at fire, but we misread it as point base at fire. So we put the base of the extinguisher at the car, pulled the trigger, and gassed ourselves with blue powder. And then eventually put the fire out, and then had to like go cough our lungs up in the back garden.
And then the engine got covered with this blue powder, which it did eventually like rust it. But the car worked for a few years afterwards.
I remember my sister telling me a story. Her first car was a Citroen 2CV. And it was like, it had like cardboard piping and, cardboard covering for the pipes. And apparently this had fallen on top of the engine while she was driving and caught fire. So what did she do? She's like, "Oh my God, I've got an emergency. Let's drive into a petrol station while my car's on fire." And the guy sort of comes running out going, "Get out, get that car out of here." And she's panicking and freaking out. So this guy has to sort of like get the car out of the petrol station while her car's on fire.
You'd be surprised how often that happens. I worked in a petrol station when I was at uni, and we had an old boy pull onto the forecourt, little petrol station in this little town I lived in. And he pulled onto the forecourt with the front of the car in flames. Luckily, the fire brigade was just down the road, and the attached garage, they still had some guys in there. I'm ringing, shouting, "Someone get a fire extinguisher!" And all these guys ran out, pushed it across the road, and it went from being like black smoke and some fire to like 8-foot flames. And the old boy came in, I think, every week for 2 months, asking when we were going to fix it. The fire was so hot, the subframe melted. And the engine sagged in the subframe. But then about a month or so after that, a friend of mine who was working in a nearby town in a much bigger station, one of the big Essos, had the same thing happen. This car pulled onto the forecourt, and this bloke got his daughter to get out and run away, and he gets his fire extinguisher, and my mate's running across the forecourt with 2 fire extinguishers as he goes to open up the bonnet and let all the air in.
Oh,
And he
no.
shoulder charged the guy, shoved 2 fire extinguishers underneath and pulled the triggers. And the fire brigades come rolling up, and this bloke saying, "I'm going to sue you for assaulting me." And he the fire extinguisher went, "If I'm going to get done for it." 20 people.
Wow.
And this guy's pulled onto the forecourt of a petrol station and gone to open the bonnet and go whoosh. People don't think straight when things are on fire.
Old cars. Yeah. So it's all the adventures. Like my accelerator cable snapped once, so we like, tied it up and just drove home using the brakes. My brake cable snapped once, so we drove it to the garage with me driving the other Renault in front to act as like a bumper car should she fail to stop. And it's just and my radiator blew up on the top of Caerphilly Mountain, so we just had to wait for it to cool down, fill it back up, and just drive home really slowly.
Wow.
But like we don't get those adventures with our smart car. It's just not the same. Although we did take the smart car apart once. We unbolted it. We took it apart to fix the horn, and it just looked like a little go-kart. It was so cute.
I remember many years ago, just after Ada had been born, we'd had a couple of sleepless nights. It was our first child, Ada, and basically we realised we had to get a breast pump for Curly. So basically, who had to go out at about 2 o'clock in the morning, looking for a breast pump?
Where did you find a breast pump at 2 o'clock in the morning?
That's the question I was thinking.
Did you find one? Did you find a breast pump?
Yes, I did. I went around all the 24-hour supermarkets in the Derby and Nottingham area. I finally found one after the 4th supermarket that was selling breast pumps.
Wow.
I hugged the cashier, thank you very much, because I was very tired at that point. Said, thank you, you saved our sleep. And so basically I was now about 30 miles from where I lived. So if I got back in the car, started driving home, and was just joining the M1 when crunch when the basically the exhaust fell off my car.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we've been there.
And I was driving along the M1 30 miles an hour with my exhaust dragging behind me. And eventually finally met back at 4 o'clock now on a Monday morning, handed over the breast pump and said, I'm going to go to sleep now, excuse me.
We our exhaust fell off. We tied it back on cable ties, and we also repaired an exhaust of a Red Bull can. The Renault have really thin exhaust, and it's the perfect size of one of the normal size Red Bull cans. So we just like snipped the top and bottom off, sort of cut it, and then put it around the exhaust and used exhaust putty, and it held for ages. We're like the queens of like really shit bodge jobs that just seem to work.
Scrap heat challenge, eat your heart out.
Exactly.
Your local garage must love you.
Oh, they do. They do so much work for us for free. Like, when my brake pipe snapped, because like we would just like rock up, leave the car there overnight, post the keys for the letterbox, explaining what was wrong with it, and they did actually replace all my brake pipes and didn't charge me for it. We just gave them those cars like brought so much business to them that they even now for MOTs, like if they need a bulb doing or something like that, they'll just do it and not charge us, and so like the cars always pass the MOTs, because if they do need something, they ring us, we say okay, do them, and then they like do the MOT then and pass us every time. It's wonderful.
You want like a buy 3 get 1 free sort of thing. You've done so much business, they just slip a bit under the door sort of thing.
Yeah, and then years, yeah. And then but the one did get banned from a different garage, so we don't go there anymore. But we kept our welder in business for a while.
How cool! How did you get banned from a garage?
Overheated during the MOT, and so we're like, please don't bring it back. And we were like, well, then you shouldn't have left it running. And they were, because they leave cars running during the MOT. And we were like, well, you shouldn't have left it running then, shouldn't you? You should have switched it off, and it started overheating. And they were like, just never allow back here. And we were like, we've got another one. Does the ban extend to that one? And he was like, yeah, it extends to all of your cars. And we were like, oh, fine. And it was on the way back from that then that the radiator blew up.
We've got Mr. Kill Me on YouTube says, I know one place Cat and Lynx would like to go to is Zach Baggins. Yeah.
Baggins, yeah.
Haunted Museum.
Oh yeah. See, we met the Ghost Adventures crew when we were in Las Vegas. We were staying in Excalibur because we were like, if we're going to Las Vegas, we're going to stay in the cheapest, tackiest hotel we can find.
I love Vegas.
And our mate was not impressed because like she'd spent like 6 months working on Gallivant and was a bit sick of castles. And we were like, okay, we're doing this the Vegas way. And then one of our ghost hunting buddies was like, had done a post saying that Ghost Adventures crew were in Las Vegas. And we were like, oh, we're in Las Vegas. And she was like, oh, they're doing an investigation in the Riviera like tonight. And we were like, that's literally just down the strip. We'll go along. So we got a bus and down the strip, and we showed up, and there was this massive crowd, and like so they'd been doing like a camera piece and that, and all these girls were just like mobbing Zach, and we went off and spoke to the others, and we got photos with the others, and they were really nice, and we were like, we're not going to get a picture of Zach because girls were just like grabbing him and taking selfies, and he was starting to look like really pissed off. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, can we have a picture with you, please? and then like someone shoved a child in and got a picture, and I was like going to links like, this is not happening, like, 'cause all these people just mobbing him. And next minute somebody grabbed me, and it was Zach, and he grabbed me and pulled me towards him, and he was like, okay, you can take a picture. So then Link's getting the photo, and we're the only people that had the picture of him. He actually put his arms around us because nobody
actually smile
because no one else asked his permission. They were just grabbing him and taking selfies, whereas we were like, you know, being polite and going, could we have a photo of you? So yeah, we were the only ones then that actually got like a proper like nice photo. And then during the investigation then, because we'd posted the photos on Twitter and tagged them, and then Billy tagged us, Billy messaged us on Twitter then saying that, it was really nice to meet you, and it was whilst they were doing their investigation in the hotels. We were like, that's really cool. And everyone's like, how was Zach then? And we were like, don't care, Billy was really nice. So everyone's like really jealous that we got a photo of Zach, and we were just like, well, he wasn't a nice one. But yeah, we want to go to his haunted museum so like we can like smuggle stuff out and start our own.
What else did you do when you were in Vegas?
We went to so many museums. This is Theo. This is the cat bum we warned you about. This is Theo. This is the cat that technically doesn't live with us but does. We went to the Mob Museum, and we did death poses against the St. Valentine's Massacre wall. And then there was an electric chair, so we were pretending to electrocute each other, and we were just like jiggling like that. And then we got up and got our bag, and people like applauded, and we were like, and they were like, oh, that was really good. And they were like, so you work here then? We were like, no. And they were like, I thought you were like, you know, like scare actors. And we were like, nope. So we were like messing around with the props. And so no, we did a helicopter ride into the Grand Canyon.
Wow, yeah.
And we took some rocks home as a souvenir, and then only afterwards found out that there's apparently a curse attached if you take rocks from the Grand Canyon. We were fine, but our sister had like a lot of accidents, and like her partner lost his job, and she broke her ankle, and then like we found out about the curse, and we were like, oh, maybe it's true. And she was like, why? And we were like, we didn't know they were cursed. We were like, it's more exciting than the key ring. But it's like, hey,
cursed rocks
and a curse.
You get a big rock and a curse.
My sisters went to the Grand Canyon. All they brought me home was a curse.
I went to Area 51 back in 2005, and I managed to bring back one of the signs from that line, Grove Lake Road. So yeah, but going to that was a surreal experience, because you're basically driving along Grove Lake Road, which is like the closest point you can get to Area 51, and you're going, motion sensor, video cameras, more video cameras. Oh, look, so quite a few video sensors along there, and it really is just, it's not so much Big Brother is watching you; it's watching you and pointing a very big gun at you. And like about a couple of minutes after,
you went in a zigzag.
Yeah, but we got to kind of the closest point and stopped, and like we kind of walked along about a good meter before the line you do not cross. And a couple of minutes afterwards, this big black Humvee turned up, and on the ridge behind, and was just watching us the entire time. Didn't get out, didn't say anything, just sat there watching us.
Oh, it's like that guy when we were hiding behind the bushes in Talgaff Asylum. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, and then we were just messing around, like throwing around paper plates and going, look, a UFO. And after about 10 minutes of that, we got a bit bored and started heading back. And we traveled along. Like, the roads in America are just straight.
Yeah.
They don't turn, they just go straight. And I kept looking back, like, for a few hours. And I kept going to my mate, Chris. I go, Chris, there's a black Humvee behind us about 15 miles. And that kept going for about 6 hours.
Wow. That's dedication.
Yeah, that was just very surreal and somewhat unnerving.
What it was just a good a good sort of bystander who saw that there was a crazy man got inside your car and you were about to get murdered.
Quite probably.
Yeah.
So you went to the in the Luxor Hotel. they had like a bodies exhibition. So you know where they skin like dead people and put them on display.
Yeah, we saw that when we were in Vegas.
So that was really cool. And then they had the Titanic exhibition, and that was really interesting. And then
we basically just did museums.
Yeah, but like our mate was a bit.
Oh, and you befriended the homeless guy on the bridge.
Oh, we did, and his staffy, and he proposed to us, and we were like, "No, we're going to San Francisco now."
Oh,
sorry. And then, but in the Excalibur Hotel was a weapons shop, so we bought like decorative daggers. We put them back, and our mate was like, "Why have you bought daggers?" And we were like, "Are you kidding? Like they're really cool." And she was like, "But you got into trouble in Gatwick for trying to take cranberry and raspberry squash on the plane." And she's like, "But you've got weapons." We're like, "But it's America, this is acceptable." So she was convinced that we would have our luggage seized because we get into trouble in airports.
Can't think why.
And yeah, it's like on the way there, like I had my cranberry and raspberry squash seized and I kicked up a fuss about it. And then I got lost. And but I managed to get them back because the security guy like took my bottles of squash off me and my passport and then like dumped me right back at the security gates. So I just went to like the other line and just put through the bottles of squash, and that they let me go.
It was like 20 minutes till we were boarding, and I say to him, like, "You took my twin off. Where is she?" And he's like, "Well, what does she look like?" I was like,
"Me."
Oh my God, I got into an argument in the last Wales Con in Telford.
Over being a twin.
Because like they give you the trade wristbands and you're only supposed to have 2 per table, but of course we go with our mate Dave and we took our mate Andrew, and usually we get away with the
and
one of us
sometimes
hiding.
If you keep previous wristbands and don't put them on tightly, you can slip them on and off.
So if they're the same colour. So I went to get the wristbands, like pretending I hadn't had them, but this guy was like a total job's worth, and he was like, "I've given them to your table." I was like, no, you haven't. I've just parked the car. I've just come in. I've come to get my wristbands. He's like, "I've given them to you." I was like, "No, you didn't." And I pointed at my table. He's like, "Well, I gave them to your table over there." He's like, "I gave them to you." I was like, "No, you didn't." And then I said, "You must have given them to my twin." And he went, "No, I didn't." I was like, "Well, you must have done because you didn't give them to me." He's like, "No, I didn't." And then he made the mistake of telling me to calm down. And then I noticed that, especially then when like he denied that I was a twin. And then like I spent the rest of the con having to hide whenever he walked past the table so that he didn't see 2 of us there. And because yeah, he.
Oh, I'm going off again. Luckily, because my dog's bone is just. Ugh.
Yeah. No, I remember. I'll never forget that con.
He was so wet.
But basically, just like for the benefit of the listeners, I've basically gone to World's Comic Con with the hope of kind of trying to back some interviews. Didn't work out, but then there was a slight oversight, shall we say, in planning, because they hadn't considered the fact of like it's going to be torrential downpour, and also they didn't put in. Makes it gets better. And also, they hadn't considered the fact it's on the same time as the football club, local football club, was having a match. So all the parking was completely taken up. And because, like, where usually park, which was in a nearby shopping estate, they said, well, you can only park here for an hour during football matches. And so basically, I kept having to slog 10 minutes back to the car, move it to a different car park, and slog back in torrential downpour. The third time after this, I was getting somewhat miffed.
You wrote a scathing review on the website.
Yes, wet, cold, and claustrophobic, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, I mean, actually, yes, things like this happen. You can't predict it, but also it is spring. It is the time for rain. You can put in, like, measures to stop flooding, to put mats down.
And that was the first time we were in the marquee, where you were always in the sports hall, and the only time you put us in the marquee, it flooded.
dripped all over our stuff.
Yeah, it leaked. It was just, and I saw one guy who was dressed as Drogo from Game of Thrones, and he was blue. He was going blue. As he put it, it was got a bit cold to start, but now I'm just numb. I think, that's called hypothermia.
I don't think we took our coats off all day. It was freezing.
No, but the coldest one we did was Whitby Goth weekend, and they left the doors open, which was really annoying. It was 3 degrees, and we were camping
because we refused to pay £100 a room. We was like, the camp night was 14 quid a night, and it was in April.
So we camped in 3 degrees, and the only source of heat we had for the entire weekend was in the toilet block. So we were so cold we couldn't sleep. And we slept in like all of our layers, and then they left the doors to the pavilion open, and it was just freezing. But the store next to us, which was like massive, had all these like electrical outlets. So
you have to pay for those.
You have to pay. So when they weren't looking, we just plugged like all of our stuff into there,
and then like we were wearing like long gothic dresses, so we just stand over them, and our skirts would cover the fact that our phones were plugged into the electricity. But we did befriend 30 dogs that weekend. We did 10 a day, which was nice. And then like this woman came back with a Jack Russell like every day. The first 2 days, like we made friends with the Jack Russell, and like I happened to be wearing my dog walking coat, so I was giving her biscuits. And then the 3rd day, she came without the dog, and we just didn't know what to say to her. And we were just like, "Here's your dog." She was like, "I've left at home today." And we'd like make an excuse to leave, so like if there was the dog in the entrance.
Yeah, it'd be like this dog just standing in the doorway, be like, "Oh, toilet break time," and then just go out and pat the dog. And that was like the only good thing about that weekend. So, and that and the fact we got to steal people's electricity. But
somebody should make a film of your lives. Just not horror, just following you guys around.
Films have to make sense.
This could be a perfect documentary, though.
I just like, what do you guys, just.
I went actually at the Sheffield con that we met Pete at. I nearly got locked in the toilets with Linnea Quigley, and it's like that was just really random. I was like peeing in the stall next to her, and then like a security guard's like, "Is anyone in here?" And I hear this American voice going, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh yeah, me." And then like got out of the stall, and she came out at the same time. And I was like, "Oh my god, it's Linnea Quigley!" And I was like, "I love your outfit." And she was like tiny. She was like shorter than me, and I was saying to her, I was like, "I really like your dress," and she's like, "Oh, thank you." And she was like, "It would be quite fun if we got locked in here for the night." I was like, it would be. And then I just got chatting to her, and she was really nice, and she complimented my outfit. And so that's like one of like my major claims to fame is that I was nearly locked in the con toilets with her. So like, a bit exciting. It's just like that. And we once. It was an ex-friend's birthday, and we decided that there's this lake in Cardiff called Grove Park, and they hire out rowing boats. So we decided for his birthday we were going to dress as pirates and hire rowing boats because we thought it'd be really funny. So we dressed up, and we made him dress up, and we went to the lake, and the boats are not available for hire. We were a week early, so we were just stuck at this lake dressed as pirates.
I mean, we could have gone home, but we didn't.
But yeah, we were like, "Oh, well, we're here now." And then we heard the voice go, and it's just like fancy dress, and we turned around, and it was Jamie Roberts from the Welsh rugby team, and we were like, "Can we have photos?" So we've got a photo of us dressed as pirates with this enormous rugby player. And then like other people kept coming up and were like, "Oh, can we have photos taken with you?" So I don't know whether they thought that we knew him or whether it's just because we were just at this random tourist attraction dressed as pirates. But
we always get people wanting to take photos with us. It's usually Russians. Russians love us for some reason. And then once we were in Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh, and this guy was like, "Oh, can I have a photo of you?" And it turned out he was Motorhead's roadie.
No way.
Yeah, and he wanted a photo with us. You were like, "Oh, this is nice." But yeah, Russian tourists keep taking photos with us. They're just like, "Oh, I'd like to have a photo with you," and we're like, "Oh, okay." Or then like Japanese tourists take photos of us.
Yeah, because like
or Chinese tourists because twins are lucky, so like they like taking photos of us, and we're like,
and like friends who aren't like used to it get like really creeped out by it, and we're like, just go with it. It just happens. You're gonna end up in some strangers' photos at some point, but yeah, and
weird things just happen to us.
Yeah, because when we were in Sweden, because we were in newspapers, because we were doing the signing at the bookstore. We then went to a different town in Sweden, about an hour away, and people kept coming up to us and saying, "Oh, I saw you in the newspaper." We were like, "It's just so random." But...
before we go, actually, I wouldn't mind asking you for my chagrin, I've never read one of your books, unfortunately, but I will.
No, but have you? You're in the majority.
But how do you?
They're really good to be.
Do you write? They're co-authored? So how do you combine your sort of story plot lines together?
It may shock you, but we're really shit at planning, so we don't. We just and we'll come up with like a vague idea, and then one of us will write 2 pages, and then we'll switch over, and the other one we'll read through and go, okay, so that's what we're doing.
It's kind of like the chain letter,
with those letters where you like write, and that's it.
Mad Libs, is it?
We don't really discuss it, and we'll just go and read what's been written, and then just carry it on. So it's quite nice because, like, sometimes I'll go out and I'll be like, "Oh wow, I didn't see that coming," or you'll be like, "Oh, that's really good, I didn't see that coming." So it's always a nice surprise then. And then we'll do one of us will do like a full edit of it once it's done, and then the other one will do a full edit of it,
and we like use different colours then so we can see what's been added.
But since lockdown started, the laptop now triggers migraines, so I can actually no longer work. So I'm having to go back to using pen and paper. So at the moment, we're just writing true crime articles. So Lynx has to do the research on the computer, type it up, and then print it out for me. And then I'll turn it into an article and then give it to her. So she has to type it up then on the computer, and then again, like print it out so I can edit it, because otherwise I can't work. So it's like been really annoying. So it's like things like Skype are okay. It's the white background though of the sheet that causes issues. So like literally all of our social media is now in dark mode. But so yeah, we don't sort of discuss it or sort of sit down and go, so what should happen now or anything. We'll just be like, we'll just see how it goes, and it somehow works. Like, somehow in our lives we've not yet been murdered by random strangers.
So accidentally killed ourselves. Our mum's still surprised that we're still alive, to be honest.
Having heard your stories, I'm surprised as well.
I would ask, because I know a few people that have been writing for a while. Some people have been really, that they say writer's block is arguably one of the worst things they come up with, and sometimes something that they probably plan that's like 3 months of writing takes them about 2 or 3 years. Has there been any instances where you've had an idea and all of a sudden you've just crashed, and then you thought, how do we now carry on, or how, and then has it taken you then like a long time to actually get it done?
Not when we've started something.
Yeah, when we've started something, it's usually fine, and we carry it on. But since lockdown, we haven't like had any ideas.
Well, since before as well, like we were like really struggling, so we opened a pole studio beginning of the year, which pandemic wasn't mentioned in the SWOT analysis.
Yeah, we did a whole course of Business Wales and had to say what our strengths and weaknesses and threats were, and no one talked about the pandemic. And 7 weeks later,
I feel they let us down on this.
And 7 weeks later, it's like temporary closed, and then we started teaching in our garden. So we kind of put writing a bit on hold, but we haven't had like any new ideas sort of recently. So and then when the migraine started, then couldn't write. So we're now just we do true crime articles now to sort of tide us over.
I'm doing a pole dancer magazine as well.
So at the moment, because we've got the writer's block, we're instead doing non-fiction. So we've just shifted to a different
But do you find doing the non-fiction stuff is maybe giving you ideas for when you do actually get back to your fiction writing?
No, it's different, isn't it? Non-fiction's easier because like we can be funny. But yeah, and also the research, because it just kind of like writes itself. Once you've got all the research, it's just like a puzzle, isn't it? Just putting it in order. Oh, and then we did start doing these random diplomas. So we now have in lockdown. So we've now got a diploma in cryptozoology, writing Egyptian hieroglyphs, so we can go and raid tombs now. And Egypt's one place we want to visit. Yeah, and we're learning about ancient Egyptian magic as well.
Wow.
So all like really useful stuff. So we might we've not done much crypto writing, so we might do that. So we're thinking for our birthday in February, rather than going to Rome and risking another pandemic, we're thinking of potentially doing a road trip up to Scotland and hunting Loch Ness.
Wow. Okay.
Cool.
Do you think Loch Ness? Do you think Loch Ness exists?
We really hope Loch Ness exists, but we really hope the monster exists, because like Bigfoot, we're like absolutely no way that creature doesn't exist. But like, you know, there's still a chance for Nessie.
Well,
and,
I've got a friend who I just found out recently believes in Bigfoot, and I was like, what? Really? I was just like, but Loch Ness, I don't know. They'd have to have somebody did like an analysis on it. They would have to have a certain amount of those types of creatures. I don't know if they're what sort of dinosaurs they were.
the plesiosaurs.
Yeah, they would have to have X amount of those with them for that to, you know, for it to survive and for it to be, unless it's, you know, very,
well,
very.
Like, didn't they recently find that megalodon shark, which was like 400 years old?
Well, yeah, I'm sure it could be quite old. You know, I'm quite skeptical about most things, to be honest. I'm one of those really super boring atheists who's like, science, I don't believe in things. But,
we're like really skeptical, but we really want them to be true.
Yeah, I get that. I have a feeling it's just like, I would love there to be magic and monsters and stuff like that around. It's just like I just can't. It just doesn't seem right.
Like one time, like we started gymnastics a few years ago when we were really bad at it. But for our coach's birthday, he decided we were all going to go to a casino. So we were like, oh, we'll do like, because we sometimes like dabble in like witchcraft spells because it's just fun. And we were like, we'll do a gambling spell to help us win. So we did that like the night before. And no, it was on the day. And then so we were telling them about the spell, and they were just like, it's not real, it's like it doesn't exist. Because then we need the picture of like was it like a tiger or something? Yeah. And like a tiger with money. Yeah, and a green candle. We didn't have one, so we said,
no. It's gone on red again. Oh, damn you. Bloody OBS. Give me some editing going on after this.
Yeah, we found a picture of a leopard with a rapper called Tiger, so we like close enough. But we were the only, and so then we basically got the entire spell wrong. But they were just like, the gymnastics lot aren't quite used to us yet, even though we've been here 3 years. They still find us a little odd. But we took the spell, and they were very much, what? Witchcraft, what? We were like, it's fine. We were the only ones that won money that night. Wow. We paid for our next pole lesson with our winnings at the casino, and they all went home broke. And we were like, you mocked us.
It's like, mic drop, hashtag Wiccan. Boom.
What's it? Yeah, I think we told like one of our favourite jokes, like that we used to weed out the weaklings, and they didn't laugh. And we're like, oh, it's the wrong crowd.
Okay. Got a message from Mr. Kilme. Got to say, thanks to CL Raven for letting me know about this. I will definitely be watching these again. I hope that's about
like 10 minutes before. I think we were like, hey, we're on a podcast. He's our like sole listener to our radio show. Well, him and we've got a Facebook friend Kenny in America. But yeah, Mr. Kilme.
When you were Fridays, I used to listen every Friday night, and then you moved to Saturdays when I'm no longer able to listen.
Oh,
Oh, see, it's because we started teaching in
That's no excuse.
in Bristol on Friday. We taught for like all of 1 week, and then lockdown hit, so we had to close the hall. But we now play Vampire the Masquerade on Fridays now, so
Nice.
like we can't move back.
It's all about
Is
the
that over
RPGs.
Roll20 or something like that?
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
good old
And
Roll20.
I play Malkavian Jezebel, who's convinced she's a countess. She's so insane. It's so much fun. She lives in the church. She has a pet priest that she calls Judas because she can't remember his name. And she's got bats. And now I've got 2 dogs and 7 kittens as well that we stole from a dog fighting ring. That character. I play a Bruya, so she's just goes around like shooting people, stealing dogs.
Pete has a pet mule in our game called Mule Brenner. Right. Okay. I think we're gonna have to leave it there. OBS has been temperamental yet again, but thank you very much, ladies. It's been an absolute blast. You are, just really, really super interesting. It was really, really good.
And yeah.
Yeah, just madness. Your lives are just it's eccentricity to the max.
See, we think our lives are quite normal, and then like we start telling people stuff, and they're just like, "What?" It's like quite interesting for people who really leave the house. So
honestly, I think if anybody's going to find Loch Ness Monster, it's you two. It's going to be you two.
I'll probably trip over it. I'll probably something and land on it. So we need to
like riding it on a saddle.
Or your car, the accelerator in your car is going to you're going to brake and you're going to crash into the lock and hit it on the head or something. It did exist once. It just doesn't exist anymore.
And then the hot pink smart car fell on it.
But yes, it's been a pleasure, Liz. Really appreciate that. Absolutely amazing. Mr. Kilme, thank you very much for all the comments, and to Jacatron as well. Appreciate the comments on YouTube. So for tonight, I've been Matt Geary. With me has been Jonjo Cosgrove.
Take care, everyone.
Peter Ray Ellison.
Look out for each other.
Mark Canty.
Take care, everybody.
And CL Raven.
Goodbye.
Night, guys. Bye.
Good night. Bye.